Hello, it's me. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was trying to make my coffee. It's decaf. Oh, I'm really late. Oh boy, I didn't realize how late it was. I hope you're still here. If not, ah, um, oh boy. So we can talk about what's going on this week if you want. I'm Mona Lisa, psychic medium, spiritual reverend, and you may be the only one here. Um, so let's talk about the energy about around this week. Hi, Lexi. I'm okay. Sorry, I didn't want tea today. I couldn't find what I wanted, so I decided to make some, I know, exciting decaf coffee. But if I drink caffeine, I have to have it like half calf anyway because I get like anxiety really bad now. Yay, 46. That would be my age, not referring to any sort of president. Even though I like Biden, he was 46. Yeah, so I was like, it was like not, I do like a pour over. It was just not working. It was taking forever. So I'm sorry. Anyway, so let's talk about what's going on. How is everybody doing? Who's here? Say hello. We got Lexi and Misty here. I haven't been putting out a lot of content, mostly because I'm just like, again, still doing the centering and grounding thing. And I'm get a little frustrated when I see there's a lot of fear mongering. So anybody who does any fear mongering stuff, I start blocking because I want you to remember that just because somebody is signing presidential orders does not mean that it's going to hold any weight or do anything. If you've ever been in a narcissistic relationship, then you recognize that, like, and you've healed from it, and you can like sit back and recognize it. You can recognize that what somebody who's a narcissist does is they, when they feel like they're losing control, they start to just threats. They throw out shit all over the place to try and get you amped up energetically. It doesn't mean you don't take it seriously, but it means that you sort of go, all right, well, let's just see how this, like, there are rules and it's just not going to work the way that somebody says it is. In one situation, I had somebody, this is actually my sister. I don't speak with her. I have two sisters. I don't speak with either one of them, but one of them, the last time I saw her, she was like, she'd been drinking all day and she just started, we were driving home. I was driving, she was not. And I don't drink. So she was like, you're just jealous about this. You're just mad about that, which she was picking stuff that was like trauma from my own childhood, like that it happened, that I was just jealous that I was mad it didn't happen to her and it happened to me kind of thing. And she was just picking and then going from topic to topic to topic to see what would set me off. And then as soon as it set me off, she was like happy. And I've watched other narcissists do, like other, like, you know, narcissists do this where they're not happy until they set you off and get an emotional response. And then they're like, oh yes, okay, that's where I can get them next time. So I think trying to just look at it and go, remind yourself that as slow as the Department of Justice, the justice system is, it is working. Um, and it's not about just like, oh, you just have to be patient. Like, I'm not saying that, but like making the phone calls, harassing your senators so that they get on it. There's something out that's very upsetting and concerning to me where they're talking about neurodivergent people and wanting to put them in wellness camps. Like, what the fuck is that? And like, speaking of neurodivergence, like ADHD and autism, as if it's a disease when it's not a disease. It's not curable. Diseases are curable. It's not. It's a difference of a brain development. And we've got RFK Jr. in there who knows nothing about medicine or health and well-being. He just spouts off bullshit all the time. Neurodivergent people's synapses were not pruned the same way as it's not a disease. It has nothing to do with vaccines or food you fed or anything else. Can certain diets create worse sensory issues? Yeah, but I don't know. This idea then that like you shouldn't give SSRIs and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that is just insane to me. It's absolute insanity. I think what'll happen is that the big pharma will actually push back And I think you need to remember that if it is an oligarchy, all they give a shit about is money. All they care about. Money is the bottom line. And what people are forgetting is, and what I think they're sort of picking up on with doing all of the um, boycotts, and Target has like, oh, maybe we need to roll back on DEI because people aren't shopping here. In a very quick way, they noticed a big change. Um, just remember that. Like, big pharma makes money off of our us using their medication. So and ADHD meds are notoriously hard to come by in September and October. Um, when they notice a decrease in use and their profits, um, it's not going to work. There's going to be a lot more lawsuits, a lot more lawsuits. It's just going to pile up. Do I think everything is going to change because of this? Yes, but I think eventually it is for the better. Uh, and I don't share my like I get dreams about things coming because like I had a dream where I was somebody who was being rounded up by the government. My problem is with some of my dreams is I don't always know if I'm me or if I'm somebody else in somebody else's body. Because I have a lot of dreams where I'm actually in somebody else's body too, and I'm experiencing it as if they are. And so I saw a lot of people being rounded up by people by white cars, and it was like in rural farm areas. So I could have shared that when I had it, and I had it probably mid last year before the um, maybe it was right after the inauguration. I can't remember. As if I was being rounded up, and I made it onto a plane, and I felt safe. Like I felt like I was going to Peru. I don't know, but point being, I don't have enough details on something like that to share stuff like that. And I feel like what that ends up doing is fear mongering. So be cognizant of like who, and I hate that term, like discern, right? Because I always equate that to like church. But be cognizant of like who you're listening to when they share scary dystopian dreams. Remember that there's not usually enough detail to feel like, oh yeah, that's definitely going to happen, or they can't give you time frames or anything else like that. And while there was rounding up of immigrants, and there still is, um, they're not being as successful as they boasted that they would be, right? In fact, they're actually rounding up less people than happen on a regular basis with Biden and Obama. Um, I also think a lot of what they're doing is going to end up just really backfiring on them, right? So, like they did when they fired all the nuclear people, like not a good idea. There's a whole bunch of people with, you got a ketamine addict in there. Um, I don't know. It's not going to work as well as they think. And when we think about like dystopian books too, um, remember that when those are written, they're not written with a lot of the modern stuff of like people being able to share and communicate and connect. Um, as much as they think they can control things, there's always ways around communication. So I guess I have more faith in humanity, and people getting mad at like say Trumpers waking up and realizing like, oh, this affects me, and getting mad like, well, they couldn't see it until it affected them. Well, yeah, that shit happens all the time. Most people don't make changes until it affects them. And be mad at all you want, but hey, I'm willing to like be like, come join our team. Better late than never. Because like it's like with my kids. If I got mad at them every time they came to me and were like, I made a mistake, they would stop coming to me and being open and honest with me if I didn't at least offer them grace of not getting it right away. So I guess that's my little, whatever. If anybody has any questions, I don't have anybody in the queue for a question. If you guys want to, oh wait, yes I do. Ha ha. Sorry, Regine, I have you for two. So I know it's really hard right now, but I want you to look at like whenever I see somebody go like, Oh my God, they just passed it. They just signed this thing, presidential order. Like, that doesn't make it law. In fact, most of them are unconstitutional, and it just takes time. The other thing I have hope for is the fact that they have the the Speaker of the House, who's it used to be Mitch McConnell. It's somebody new now who has gone against Trump. I think they recognize that they're a lame duck. He's a lame duck president. I think they also recognize that he's losing a lot of his constituents, and the wind is being taken out of his sails. He's very much a the what is it, the emperor's new clothes type thing. He the doesn't really have what he says he has. And it is scary for sure. And I think it does require white people, especially white women, to stand up and make changes, because they're trying. They're trying to make what they're going to find out too is that like they want to have this, like we've got a military that'll like take over, but then when they try to take all of Black people out of the military, they're going to find out like they have not much of a military, because it is predominantly Black. Statistics show that, from what I understand. So I don't think they're going to be able to declare martial law. I don't think it sounds really scary, but again, what do we have, like 160? We have over 160 million people in this nation. I think there's 160 million Americans on TikTok, and like that's like half the nation. And I think the military is like 2 million. And then remember that we also have our militias, our state, National Guards, and remember that these are all volunteer, right? So it's not like other countries where they're forced to participate. We have it set up very different for a reason. So I'm asking you to just find your center. When it sounds really scary, if it trips off that center, I always feel it right in the center of my stomach, that scary feeling, to just get calm, turn it off, and start researching. Don't go to these people who are like their goal to pull you in to watch their stuff is always fear-based. Always. There's a guy on here that I like watching. He keeps saying like, "Oh, YouTube is gonna or TikTok's gonna go away." I'm like, TikTok's not going away. Like he'll say it's like, and he changes his percentages. So he's just making these up. Like he went from he's like 50%, and then it was like also no 70%. It's going away in 40 days, and then it was like 85%. It's all this like kind of catch and grab. They just want to get your attention. They want to grab you in, and they want to pull you in and make you afraid. Even him, and he's like, I think he's a good creator. I'll have to remember what it is. Maybe I'll put a note in. I can't remember. He's got a couple different pages, and I know he's on YouTube. See if I can find him. Oh, Darren Monroe, Darren Monroe, Monroe. He's here on YouTube. I think find the people that are gonna like that remain a little bit calm. They may not get as many likes, they may not have as many followers, but that's usually where you're going to find a little bit better of a sense of what's going on. The people that have the big followers, they get them because they catch and grab them with their, catchy, scary lines. Hi, Misty. Sorry. A very small community college. Something at a very small community college, and you work at a very small community college and spend 27 hours a week in the same room with 20 young women who all think things are headed in the right direction. Christian nationalism is painful. It is. And unfortunately, while they are blinded, remember that they aren't the majority. And I don't believe our nation as a majority has ever really exercised their right. First of all, voting. I mean, there was 90 million people who just didn't vote. Probably disenfranchised, unable to get to voting, all kinds of reasons why, gerrymandering, um, voter suppression. Uh, Also, I think people didn't realize how powerful their dollar was. Because you think, well, I'm just a little person, but you know what? Like, just buy necessities for a while. You don't have to go and fill their coffers. I never, quite literally, once I understood this, I stopped donating money for like all the causes. And the business is like, oh, do you want to give to this charity? Do you want to? Oh, and I was like, no. And I kind of get looked at like, well, I was like, you can go online and donate your own money and get your receipt and get your tax relief. Stop giving them extra money to get any more tax relief. They don't need it. Big corporations do not need it. When I take your money and I give it to donation, I don't ask you for an additional on top of. I basically take a portion of my money that you're spending that I receive for my work and I donate that. I'm just letting you know that I'm doing it because I think it's a good cause. So I just think once you start understanding the game, you can play more efficiently and you can be a little bit you know um, wise with your moves. So I'm big on put your dollar where the companies are that are going to support you. So my plan is um, my husband has the luxury of not really paying attention as much as I do. I think just being a white man. Um, so he's still off at Target and everything else, but I'm more of the household spender than he is. I spend more of the household money. So I have reined in. I buy groceries. Um, I try to spend at places that are smaller businesses if I do. If I have to get something through, I can't get it somewhere through, I will, but I'm not just like, I try to find it local before anything else. And Costco is your friend. So I think the corporate where they say like, oh, we're giving to the, St. Jude's and things like that, you can donate directly through St. Jude's. Most of those places make it really easy to just give a little $5 donation, a dollar donation. You don't have to spend a lot. And I know people think like, oh, it's just take the tax deduction yourself. I get that people have lost faith in the candidates. I think that my sense intuition wise is it's going to embolden people in a way that it hasn't before. Um, Typically, I said this before, Democrats or Republicans out call Democrats like 4-1. So I think people are more like, oh, I need to call, I need to harass. And once you start to see that it bothers them, like if they're answering all of the phones and constantly taking all the data down in order to call, like that's why I would say do not email, call. Even if you're leaving voicemails, call, because they take that data and then they go, this is what we need to focus on. This is what people are complaining about. If they can't do the work, they're going to want to like acquiesce so they can get back to their job. And yeah, I back off Amazon. Like some of the stuff I ordered my daughter's bed off of there because it was $200 cheaper than another place. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of stupid. Sorry. But like you can order most of these places, you can order directly from the company. You don't have to order from them. So yeah, I don't know. I just want you to hold the faith is what I want you to do, because when you can't make a sound decision when you move in fear. It doesn't mean don't be prepared. It doesn't mean don't be wise about things, but when you move in fear, it's really, really hard to make a wise decision. And I will never be the person who fear mongers. I don't share about a lot of the dreams that I have that are, because again, if I have this dream about like, oh, I see people being rounded up, that's just all that does is elicit fear. And while it is happening, um, when I don't even have the like to know the location, to know the date, to know how big and widespread this is this a one-time event? It doesn't help anybody. It harms people. And when people share those messages, all it does is feed their person's own ego than anything. And I think that that's dangerous when you are learning to tap in or when you are tapped in. I think it's important to remind yourself that it's what is somebody's motive when they're sharing information? And also remember everything is a filter. I saw something where this thing came across my page. It was like, this time traveler from 2030. Please stop with those. Just do not even give them any credence. And I say that because if they're time traveling, they also understand the idea of like quantum theory and multiple timelines. What is their goal to come back here and say all of these really scary things? That is bullshit. They're not, nobody's time traveling back to, I mean, that just doesn't even, it doesn't even make sense to me. Because if you can change timelines, why would you even bother coming back? What are you warning against? Stop that. There's infinite timelines. It's just total garbage. Also, if you're following Candace Owens, stop, because she has so much stuff that is alt-right pipeline bullshit. And maybe you're following because of the whole Ryan Reynolds and all of that shit is just like crazy to me, because I also see so many people who like create such wild stories. Like, while I think there was intention, I don't feel like, oh, this is a really good person who's the victim. I also think some of those stories where they're like, and this person was in on it, and this person, usually when a narcissist makes a plan, they don't include everybody in on their plans in a direct, honest way. Most of the people that get included are wrapped into the lies and the bullshit that this other person is spinning. So let's remember that. Hang on, sorry. My neighbor worked for Cancer UK. They are huge. She was on a massive salary and flew on jets up and down the country regularly each week. The money charities waste is disgraceful. Oh, absolutely. I try to give to, like, that's why I do the community food bank, because I just feel like I know that money, because I know my local food bank gets from the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. I should probably just give to my local food bank, but it's less easy to donate there. Sorry, that's probably lazy of me. But you got an email back from Corey Bush last week, but I understand about the calling. Yeah, I just think the calling is really important. And I agree with the wasteful. If you really look at like some of the spending on, like, some of the charities spend more on when they have these big, where they have these massive tables to buy out and stuff, they spend more on the entertainment than they actually pull in, or they pull in, but it's like, who are you doing this for? You could really just do the charity of it. Like, you don't need all the gala and all of that stuff, or gala, however you say it. I think that like when you're looking at like, what are you talking about? What is that about? Is it to just create fear, or for people to spend money looking for answers? Is that what you're talking about, Candace? I think she's just like Joe Rogan. Oh, time travelers. I think it's to create fear. I absolutely think it's to create fear. And I think it's to keep people locked into this one thing, that this is going to happen, and it's for sure. Because if you sit in a space of fear, then you feel powerless. Like, oh my God, this is definitely going to happen. And then you sort of allow stuff, right? I mean, I hate to say like psyop things, but there a lot of, I mean, we know that Russia put out propaganda. We know that. We know that. I mean, even JD Vance made a comment like about like the, I don't know what state it was in now, maybe Ohio, where it's like they're eating cats and dogs. These immigrants from them, wherever they're eating cats and dogs, Haitian, I think. And it's like, no, they weren't. And then he admits, he goes, well, you just have to make it up so that people really understand that this is a possibility. So it's not true. He's just making up bullshit about a potential existential crisis, which isn't even happening. Admittedly. Candace Owens is like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is sitting there going, now, oh, this is so terrible. Like, motherfucker, you gave a platform to JD Vance. You gave a platform to Trump. You sat there and, I mean, you fueled it because it brought you money. like all of these people should be held accountable. All of them, every single one of them. And Candace Owens is culpable. She is culpable, and she's pulling people in to look at her other content. She's because she's basically stealing information from other creators, and she's pulling people in so that they will eventually fall into her trap of like transphobia and um, ableist bullshit. What do you mean Candace is having second thoughts? She's doing a lot of content on Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively stuff. And she also has like all kinds of other stuff. I don't think she's second guessing her stance at all. I think she's I literally blocked her. She showed up on my feed once. I've got all this kind of weird stuff showing up on my feed where I'm like, what? Because I like farm animals. Like now I'm all right. Like, no, where it's like Trump stuff. I'm like, I'm hard stance against that. I think people have medical rights. You had to look her up. Yeah. Make sure you delete that from your history so that way that stuff doesn't come your way. She is an Auntie Thomasina, if you will. You know, the female version of Uncle Tom. I mean, there's a lot of people who fuel it. And now they're sitting there going, well, I don't understand. Well, friend, look at what somebody's goal is when they're sharing the information with you. Look at their goal. Like Aaron Parnas shares a whole bunch of news. He just shares like stuff he gets from other news sources. And he's got a huge following and he's complete Zionist. So just like look at what their other stuff is and say, is this somebody who I feel like just don't get so sucked in and raise anybody up, I guess it's easy to fall into the trap because you start to trust them. You go, well, oh, maybe that's, hi, Allie. So interesting to learn how you get news and how in the UK it's portrayed. We are so blinded to what's true and what's propaganda. I think it happens to everybody. And I think the more searching you do, when you hear something, like start researching. Is this true? Read the articles. Don't just let somebody go, well, I read this article, so you don't have to. That's when you really should be reading the articles. Don't like anytime anybody says that to me, I'm like, they probably got something wrong. They probably missed something here. Same thing with the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act made me really nervous. It's passed the House, but it's been just sitting on the desk of Senate. Senate's not doing anything with it. Will I mention it to Cory Booker and to Andy Kim? Yes, I will, because it's bananas. But also, I was worried about for me because I changed my name when I got married, but it's like, well, you have to have a passport. Okay, I'll get a passport because that works. But the real ID doesn't work in order to use it if they decide to put it into place. But then you have a lot of people who are, don't have access to their birth certificate or don't have access to their marriage certificate, don't have the money to pay to get copies of their birth certificate because they are living paycheck to paycheck. So that's an extra expense. Don't have money to go or to take off to go get their passport. Like all of these barriers to getting the documentation in order to remain eligible to vote. It's a lot of asinine stuff. It's just worth educating yourself and paying attention, whether you live in the United States or you live somewhere else. Who stands to gain from you not educating yourself? Who stands to gain from you following that fear? Is the person who's giving it out, is that just to get the likes, the follows, to change the algorithm so they're getting more exposure because they make money off of it? Just, I don't know. Let's do some questions and some readings. It's just what I try to do in order to like maintain a sense of sanity in the chaos. And again, I think because it's essentially just narcissistic abuse, you have to look at them, and when they start to go off into their emotional, what are they trying to get me to do? Just kind of look at it like, why do they want me to be afraid and in this state of panic? And like a narcissist usually will do that when they feel like they're losing control or they feel like you've somehow harmed them. How dare you? So I'm going to make sure I like tamp down on you a little bit so you stop feeling so emboldened. And when they're pushing back on it, when they're like, oh, we're going to take this away, it's like, you need to push harder and be like, no, you're not, motherfucker. So that's where you do like, let's boycott these places. Like when everybody's like, oh my God, they're taking my DA. So boycott. Stop giving them your money. Most of the shit we buy, we don't need. I don't need all this shit. You don't need, I don't need all of this to do readings. I don't need any of this stuff over here to do readings. I could have a plain ass boring thing. I could sit here with you and do the readings. I don't need to spend any more money on this stuff. I just want you to recognize that. I did buy a bookshelf that I'm going to be putting up only because I have so many books and like cards and stuff. I need somewhere to organize them. But my point is you don't need 85,000 articles of clothing so that, you're not wearing the same thing all the time. When I went to Europe, when I was in high school, like they didn't have nearly as much stuff, and went to Spain, and it was like, I was like, oh, they only have like 3 pairs of jeans. Oh, well, and they like wear the same thing all the time. I'm like, no, I wear the same thing all the time. Sorry, I'm not exciting. I'm not your fashion person. I like don't really get a lot of that stuff. So they just want you to spend money. That's it. To feed their pockets, to fill them so that they can fly on their jets and they can feel all powerful because they suck. Okay. All right. So if we look at it as an oligarchy, your money speaks wonders. Money speaks wonders. And you have to do it for a while, right? You want to do it for at least a quarter, so about 3 months, in order to change their long-term, right? So like prospects, like where they're like, oh, we didn't hit our goal. So then their investors start to like be concerned. Their stock prices go down. That's all they know about. That's all they care about. And you know what? Like, is it concerning that Elon Musk, he's not, I mean, he's just using it for data for AI. And it's like, well, I could be worried, but like, I got a notification from my kid's school. We use this thing called Power School, that there was some kind of breach. And now like I'm having to like put my children on a watch list, like my minor children, because someone might steal their identity. Well, folks, yay technology. So like you can sit there and go, oh my God, it's so scary. It's like, well, that motherfucker doesn't belong in there. We all know that. And we have to wait for, all the court cases that are being filed against him to go through. And if he doesn't listen, you're like, when Vance is like, well, I'm just not going to listen. Eventually they're going to court martial him. That's ends up what happens. Like they will end up or sending in what do they call those sheriffs? Whatever. They send them in. You're in Western North Carolina, so those TikTok psychics say the power grid is going down, pokes me in the PTSD. Okay, so totally understand. I had a dream that I told I saw it. Somebody asked me a question on here and I was like, I see people like walking downstairs in New York City, like little lemmings, and I feel like there's a power outage. I don't feel like if something like that happens, I don't feel like it's long term. I feel like it's short term because remember, it doesn't benefit anybody, right? So that scare and fear mongering thing, we're like, the grid is going to go down. That is a complete fucking fear tactic that they're using. It doesn't benefit anybody, not the oligarchs, nobody. They all lose when that shit happens. So I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised if they use that as a tactic, a real tactic. And even then, if they allowed it to be long term, people like, it'd be like 9 years before they get it back. Well, that does not benefit anybody. I just really like, remember everything is about money and power and ownership and land. And and by power, I don't mean like electricity power. I mean like, power over others. And sending everybody back to the dark ages doesn't work. It doesn't work because in the eyes of an oligarchy, expansion works. And so like even these crazy people who are like right wing, we only want white people, whatever, like they're just it doesn't, as long as you don't lie down and take it, it doesn't work. So I get it. I don't see a full grid power outage. I mean, that's insane. I want you to like really think about that. We aren't all interconnected. Texas had a full power grid thing go down. In the winter, they had massive issues. All the oil and gas people were not happy. I'm telling you where it's like, it's just like when Big Pharma figures out like he's saying this kind of shit and how it's going to affect their bottom line, there will be a like a, oh no, we can't do this. I have t-shirts with holes. I'm proud of them. So just remember that, like, keep that in mind. Like when they start throwing around these crazy things, I want you to think about, well, like, okay, wait, what big industry would stand to lose from it? Like a lot of the tariffs they're talking about, I'm like, that shit's not going to fall. That's like not going to fly at all. They're not going to do all the tariffs that they are with Mexico that they say that like, oh, we'll wait a little month and then we're going to put him in. Like he's going to walk back a lot of the shit he's talking about. The 60% on alcohol, that shit's not going to fly. Hexeth alone would have a problem with that. But also because someone's going to go like, you're going to have a lot of people having DTs and dying from alcohol withdrawal because they can't afford to get their alcohol. You're going to have more problems. Like they're going to get way too much pushback on stuff. So just when you hear it, go, okay, which rich person would really have a problem with this, or which rich entity would really have a problem with this? When they're talking about like they have all these tariffs and stuff on China, it's going to be an issue. No, the renaming of the Gulf of that's bullshit that he's even renamed it. You can't just like go, well, I just decided that this is going to be called this. That's all bullshit. Why did Apple and Google rename it on their maps? But it's only American, like for the American people, like their apps. It's not for other areas. I bet if you change your VPN, it would show you still as Gulf of Mexico. That's all like them sucking each other's, you know what? Like they're just playing a game. They want something from Trump. They want their big tax breaks. They think they're going to take away Medicaid. That's not going to work. It's all going to go up in a big, huge dumpster fire. It may open up the loophole, but it may not. So there'll be pushback. Yeah. So you're in Canada. So like you cannot just rename something and have that actually take because you just said so. Like again, he's acting like a king, but he's not a king. Remember that. Like that's just all. Look at me. What is the? No, what's his name? With the like, it's good to be the king. Like, just it's just a farce. And JD Vance going around like saying all the things that he's saying, he's just, I am so amazed that people with these incredible backgrounds are just so stupid. Just absolutely stupid. You know, they live in a world where everybody is like, oh yeah, we're so much better. And they don't recognize the full impact of the things they're doing until they do. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess we can't do that. Like in their mind of their cosplay world, they think that this is like this, yeah, this is what's going to happen. And then a real life person goes, yeah, actually that doesn't work. And here's why. Like someone was saying to me, they wrote it on a post and I responded back. That's like, they were like, well, they don't pay federal taxes. And then this guy's like, well, but they pay state and local taxes. I go, or they just move their business to a state that doesn't have state taxes. So like moving to Texas. He's like, that's really smart business. I was like, no, it's not. It's really short-sighted. Because if you don't pay taxes to help pay for infrastructure, you don't have infrastructure to ship any of your stuff or to do anything. So it is just short-sighted and stupid. Please don't tell me all of these people are so smart. They're not. They're fucking selfish. That is all that runs down to. They are selfish little boys running around going like, fill my pockets. I'm so powerful. Look at me. I'm the big guy on the field. It's just cosplay. And the minute you start looking at it like that and stop giving them all the power and start realizing, like, I just don't have to spend the money. I don't need a new phone. Look at like the update on Apple. They refuse, like people were refusing to do the updates on Apple, and they're threatening like there's this big thing that's like going to happen, and it's a vulnerability, and it's like, okay, and look what else is happening in the world. We don't care. We just want to make sure that we can have the app we want to use, and you're not going to fuck with it. So they put the app back in the store so that it becomes not an issue. You can force people's hand if you stop playing their games. You just have to just not play the game. And you go, oh, like I'm not doing that. I'm not going to keep shopping here. I don't have to shop at your store. And here's the thing, even if the small business that's local is a Trump supporter, so what? They don't have the sway that the bigger businesses do. They aren't doing the lobbying. Spend your money with your local friend. Spend your money with the local guy, even if he's a Trump supporter, because he voted that way no matter what anyway. But he's not the lobbyist doing any scratching the back, and he's probably going to get fucked by them 6 ways to them because he's a small business anyways. I don't know. That's just my theory on it. You kept your phones at an average. You keep your phones an average of 5 years. Yeah, I don't know how long I've had mine. I don't understand where taxes were always looked down on. Since I was a kid, low taxes takes care of community. Exactly. I remember like saying I wanted to win the lottery, or like, just joking around with my mom. Like if I win the lottery, she goes, but then you'd have to pay taxes. I'm like, so what? I have the money to pay the taxes. Like, I don't mind paying my taxes. I don't mind because it helps people. Am I annoyed that 50% of our taxes go towards the war industrial complex? Yes. Because it's a bunch of little boys going, oh, look at all the cool stuff I can build. Look what I can do. I've got a bigger gun than you've got. I've got the latest technology and you don't have it. I can spy on you. And you, like, it is all stupidity. It is all stupidity. They remind me of bulls. Watch some bulls on YouTube or TikTok. They just get mad and angry, and they don't know how to regulate their own emotions. They don't know what to do, and they just take it out on somebody. They're button heads. It's just stupidity. Sorry, I don't believe in patriarchy, because it just seems like we have raised a whole bunch of men who don't know how to regulate their emotions and who find their power in harming others instead of doing the work. Let's do some readings. I guess I wanted to do that. I will talk every week about it, like reminding everybody of, like, instead of going to the fearmonger place of like all these, to remind you that this is just a bunch of, like, it doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't harmful, and it is going to harm some people. There are people that were rounded up and who were not, they were like, we're going to get all of the criminals and get them out of here. Stupid. And they're taking people that aren't criminals. They're taking paying into Social Security and not receiving any benefits from any of that, to the tune of $96 billion. I mean, they're just shooting themselves in their own foot and wondering why everything's falling apart. I don't agree with a lot of the things that have happened. I don't agree with supporting Israel. I don't agree. And not that I think Jewish people are bad. I think Netanyahu is not a great man. And I think supporting his, again, little boy, look at me. I've got bigger guns. I can control people. I've got the land. That's my land. It's my house. It's making it bigger. That kind of behavior is asinine. Absolutely. Our tax system is broken, but our tax system is broken because we give money to the war industrial complex, and we have no oversight over that. And they don't balance their budget, and you're not allowed to question it. There's other things too, but I don't think Social Security is bad. I don't think Medicaid is bad. I don't think helping those in it, when we have set up a system of corporate greed, and when our healthcare is tied to all of that, and then we say, like, you can't, and then we don't allow people to make enough money to make a living and easily pay for that. We have set people up to fail, and I believe it is our job to take care of those people, period. And everybody's like, oh, it's a handout. Well, farmers get handouts all the time, and banks get handouts, and the airline industry got handouts, and the car industry got handouts. Like, all of these big things are getting handouts. Why can't the little guys get a handout? Why can't we help little people out? They are not bad people because they need help. Yeah. So I just think it's a way to manipulate. So if you look at things as, why would somebody want to manipulate me? Who stands to gain from me being manipulated? And what can I do to fight back against that? And I'm telling you, the biggest way to fight back right now is with your fucking wallet and making phone calls. Because they will listen to, and I know that it's like, oh, we should be out there protesting. I don't know that protests work at this point. I think boycotts work. Protests work to let other people feel other people emboldened and feel that energy. But if it's going to work against you and put you in a place of harm, then boycott and call. Especially people of color, because you will be at the target of that. That has just statistically been shown. Medicaid's tax funded. Yep. And little guys should have access. Yeah. I believe there should be no corporate lobbying personally, but there is. And so how do you work around that? We are powerful. We are not powerless. The lie that they have sold us is that we don't matter and we aren't and we are powerless. That is a lie. That's what narcissists do. They try to take away your power, and they try to tell you that you don't have a say, and it's going to all turn out terrible, and it's going to be your fault, or it's going to be that guy's fault. So we want you to be mad at that person. It's all a game. Start playing wiser. You are stronger than this. That's it. End of story. Okay, really, let's do some reading. All right, Regine, you're up first. And then I've got Julia and Ali. Okay, I decided to hold on to real estate classes, hold off on the real estate classes. Both my sisters went, and they kind of regretted it so far. So I focused on the laundromats this week. Did you see that? Do you see that I found the laundromat? There's one I like, but it's a little outdated. I'm planning on visiting more this week. It's funny. I feel like when I originally answered that, I felt like there would be some things that you would have to change, like, or have to replace some of the machines. I don't know why I feel like telling you this, that I know it, but Speed Queen has industrial machines, and I think that they're pretty good. They're made in America. I think probably some of their parts come from foreign places, but worth looking into. I think I'm going to replace my washer with a Speed Queen, but not an industrial one. I don't need a coin machine. Although, I'm just kidding. Start letting people do their laundry here. I feel like it's interesting. I feel like you're going to look at maybe 2 or 3 other ones, and I feel like you might. I keep getting, even though you're like it's outdated, I feel like you're going to paint it and it's going to feel better, and then slowly replace things because it becomes financially more lucrative for you to do it that way. I almost feel like the places that are more modern are artificially inflated on their prices. And I just feel like I just keep feeling like I'm painting the walls. I feel like whatever the paint is right now, first of all, I keep seeing brighter colors. Like that's what you're painting towards, is having brighter colors, because it feels like it's a dingy yellow in there right now, or like there's a yellowing to it. I don't know what it is. So it feels like I paint it and I have brighter colors in there, and it just feels better and happier in there. And I feel like there's gonna be like maybe 2 or 3 machines you have to replace, like, just replace them. And then it feels like doing updates slowly, like, whereas, like, maybe you fix, I don't even know if you fix the flooring so much. Um, Maybe it just needs like a good polish and a good clean. And I feel like you slowly, like, there'd be one area that you update and kind of, and then the flooring ends up being okay, but there's, like, one area maybe where you have, like, a washing and folding service. Because I don't know if it's just, like, there's just feels like there's an area that's, like, kinda off. Maybe you have vending machines or something there, and that kinda needs new flooring, and so you do, like, new flooring there. Yeah, so it feels like I replaced those. It's not the whole thing. And then, I feel like the dryers actually can be fixed. Uh, and I feel like they don't have a good relationship with their repairman. It's like getting a new repairman, or maybe just the owner might have, not made the repairman happy. I actually feel like this is interesting. So as far as the dryers, there may be an issue with wiring, electrical wiring. So you might need an electrician to come in and fix that, because I feel like their fuses keep blowing. I don't know if that's even a thing, but it's like I keep feeling like the heat coils or fuses or something keeps going, because it has something more to do with the electricity than it does the actual unit itself. So maybe having somebody look at the wiring and make sure it's okay. I just heard 155, but I don't even know if that's even like a, I have no concept of that. So sometimes when I don't have a concept, they're like, ah. I feel like you purchased it as less than their asking price, because of the things that you're going to have to fix. But it feels like so more when you ask for concessions. So I'll say it that way. So it's going to be slightly less than asking price to make room for like updates and concessions of like machines and things like that. What's the price they're selling it at? Because 155 sounds low. Like that's less than a house. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Y'all, this, like, my bra is just irritating me. It's not. Oh, it was 125. Okay. It's not going to be 155 then. Maybe 115 will end up where it's at, ends up being. I forget you're in Florida, but I don't know. I'm still like, well, I don't think they'll ask for more. Again, I just feel like you're going to get it. You're going to get it for a little bit below whatever asking price is. But I would have like, If you don't do it before you buy it, have an electrician just to come in and check the wiring. Because there's something where I feel like the issues it's having were things. Sorry, I have this on because two of my kids are at their friend's house and I wasn't sure. Um, what time we were doing pickup, and then I just found out beforehand and I forgot to turn it off anyway. I don't know what this is. It's like the seam is just irritating me today. Oh, sorry to like scratch at myself. I feel like whoever's here has known me long enough, like whatever. You just know I'm a weirdo and it's fine. I'm grateful for you too. I had a client on Thursday and she was so cute. I was like, "Oh, you're back." Like, and I joke because she always has hiding in her car when I'm reading for her. Well, this is like only the second time, but she was, hiding in her car. She's like, "I like kids." And so we were talking and, I was like, I guess it was a good reading if you come back. I always feel like that's like my thing. I was like, if they come back, it's a good reading. And she was like, "I'm one of your cheerleaders." Like, and that always makes me feel good because I know like you want me to do well and I want all of you to do well and all of that. So it's a good support system I've built here. All right. So do you have another question or you want to wait? You have been coming back for 5 years. I can't believe I've known you for 5 years already. That's so crazy. Like that you've been here. I don't know. I just when I feel like, oh, I'm not where I want to be. My business isn't growing like where I want it to. Like I'm making more than I used to for sure, but obviously my goal is to like have something that, whatever. And hi Lauren, how are you? I'm doing well. But I always remind myself that I've got people who are like still supporting me after years, even when I started asking for money. And so I must be doing something right, right? Okay. So I didn't make the list officially, so let me do this. Okay, so Regine has another one. I've got Julia. I'm just going to put Regine so I don't forget you because we know how my brain works sometimes. Julia, you're up. And then I've got Allie and Katrina. All right. So I didn't do like a ton of readings yet. I was mostly rambling about the state of the world and just to remind you to stay grounded. Just letting you know that, Lauren. Am I making a good decision with my dad's house? I'm not sure how much to repair. He just wants me to do what I think is best. Does your dad have breathing issues? Like COPD or something? Sorry. Like, that's not mine. It's not yours. I feel like he's in a care home. No, he doesn't. Just watch him because maybe there might be something going around that he gets. Maybe he gets a little flu or RSV or something. There's just something where I feel like I felt really tight here, like I had a hard time. And it doesn't feel cardiac. It feels like a lung thing. So it might be something brewing. So just check in on him. I keep seeing moisture build up and unless he's got like a rock wall in his house, there's something where I feel like moisture is getting in or it shouldn't be. That feels like it should be addressed more than anything because even if it's maybe it's like a rock wall outside of his house or something, or maybe it's a rock on the outside of a wall, I feel like it's going to create more problems if that's not addressed. Is the outside of his home rock? Stone? Oh, he's had a chest infection. Okay, that's what I'm feeling. Okay. I feel like that starts to clear up better and about he'll start feeling better in about 7 days. There's something about 3 days with his chest infection, like you'll start to see an improvement, but I feel like 7 days he's feeling a little bit more like himself. Stone. Okay. So I keep being shown it like there's a lot of moisture buildup. To me, what like it needs to be resealed or something because I feel like it's going to create more problems on the inside if it's not. To me, I feel like that's what needs to be focused on. Um, there's some like outlet issues of like outlets maybe that need to be replaced or rewired. Um, and a light fixture. It feels like just things that have been kind of not done over time. It's not really so much about updating. It's like doing the things that need to be focused on. There's a damp patch near the sink. That's what because I seen like a so that needs to be taken care of so that's not creating a mold issue within the house. I feel like there's a leaky toilet. Is there an upstairs, like a bathroom upstairs? Like I feel like it's not a full upstairs. Maybe it's more like a so instead of being a colonial style home, it's more of a Cape style. Do you know what a Cape style is? So it feels like there's a like the bathroom needs like a fixture, Foster faucet fixture replacement or something. It's not here's the thing, I don't feel like I have to be like gutted. It's just like parts need to be replaced because parts wear out. And they're showing me behind a toilet. Sorry. I feel like just the hose from the wall needs to be replaced into the toilet. It might have a little leak there. And it feels like it's not a thick bendy hose right now. It feels like it's looks more like a tiny little pipe. It's a bungalow. Okay. Uh, does it only have one bathroom? Because the way I'm feeling it is like if I were in a Cape style home, and maybe that's why they're showing me upstairs, where it's like the only bathroom is upstairs. So it's like maybe they're just trying to get me to say that there's one bathroom. And I want to say this like it's not that the leak is like the idea is like, oh, I've got all these leaks, I've got all these little things that need to be done. Is this cursed? It's like, no, it's not. It just wasn't done and stuff wears out. It's a cottage. So is there only one bathroom though? They're saying the bones of it are good. It's just a matter of like just little things here and there. One bedroom, one bathroom. Okay. They're telling me better. You said it's built in the 1980s. They're telling me, making me feel like it's built better than the houses that were built in the United States in the 80s. I I heard needs a fresh coat of paint, but I think that's from him, which is weird that I'm hearing it that way. No, he's not dead. Just like I could hear him saying that. So maybe he told you that. Oh, he redecorated it in 1980. Okay, gotcha. I just feel like really you could bring it up pretty easily if you just repaint some of it. Don't make everything gray. Don't make everything gray. And I've got some weird, like, I honestly, like, I need to replace some light fixtures because, like, two of them in my hall upstairs are like that ugly Tuscan stuff that was very popular, I guess, in the like late 90s. I don't know. I don't even know when it was popular because my family has never been big on like, um, and I'm like, I should replace those. And then I forget about it. You know, how, like when you live somewhere, you just stop seeing stuff. You're just like, whatever. Like it might bother you for a minute, and then you're like, whatever. Maybe I'm the only person who does that. It's a 1930 build. Yeah. It's oh, he said auction it. I don't think he'll auction it. I actually think you might end up either renting it or there's something you'll do with it where it's like becomes a little bit of a little side income for you. It doesn't need a lot of major stuff. It just feels like cosmetic, a little bit of cosmetic, but nothing major, just like a fresh coat of paint. And changing some of the fixtures, but more so that parts have worn out on the inside than like so like the faucet in the bathroom, the fixture for it feels like the parts have worn out on the inside. And just a few things on the toilet. I do feel like it might need a new, I don't know what the wax seal is on the toilet where it's like the seal that goes into the, I feel like it might need a new, that might be part of the issue. But it's like nothing that's not fixable. And technically you could replace that on your own if you're brave and you watch enough YouTubes. You're good. You're doing what's okay with it. I don't feel anybody like, oh my God, just sell it, get rid of it. It's a money pit. I don't feel that. But with home ownership, stuff has to be fixed. And I feel like he couldn't do it for a long time. Or couldn't see. Like I feel like he's got maybe some cataracts. I feel like worse on the left than the right. And so just couldn't see well enough to see that it was needing to be fixed. The toilet's ancient. I just feel like it needs a new wax seal underneath it. When you do that work, I feel like you may end up retiling because it doesn't feel like a big bathroom. I feel like you may end up retiling or it might just need a little bit of, might be a little bit of water damage around the base of the toilet. He did have cataracts and was disabled. Yeah. So I just feel like it was like worse on my left. And I just couldn't see to like know that stuff was going on. They're saying he did the best he could. The furnace is really old. But it's interesting because I feel like it's okay though still. Everything he's done was on his own. Yeah. He tried. How are your horsies? Oh, did anything ever happen with you? There's something that came up around your mom or taking in an animal or something with water, or did anything ever come of that? No. Your horses are great. And then whoever's next for question, if you want to, since I'm just yammering here now. Allie, you're up next, or Regine, if you wanted to step in, if you thought of your question. No newbie yet. If you'll ever have your own business, I would like to own something that I can call my own. But I've been struggling for a long time. What will it be? Okay, first of all, manifesting language. Stop struggling for a long time. We don't want to own that. Mom got all clear, but had definitely been worried about her heart. She hadn't told me. Oh. Did I mention that she had a heart thing? Did that come up? See, I don't remember your readings. Sorry, excuse me. One thing that truly drives me nuts. If you ever watch tarot readers, especially like on TikTok where it comes up and they're doing a tarot reading, they're like, confirmation burp. I'm like, no, stop that. Oh, I did tell you that. I'm glad that she checked out okay then. She's been so worried. She was frightened to tell us. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting the things that people do when they move in fear, right? And I always like try to remind people like it's scary when you get a diagnosis and like you get to worry, like try not to worry until you get the final answer. And then at that point, usually there's a plan in place of like, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And so then it's like, well, you have this active place to move from. Your brain's an amazing and powerful thing. Thank you for the confirmation. I thought the confirmation burp thing is funny. Whenever I see that, I'm always like, no, stop that. I don't know. I always find the like, there's some readers. I love Lauren on here. Find her. She's a great reader. She doesn't do a lot of that weird stuff, but like when people do that like confirmation burp, I'm like, please stop. Just say, excuse me. It's okay. People do things. Okay, Allie, I'm coming to you, dear. I actually feel like in your 40s, you might own a business, but it feels like it's small. It's not a main business. It's a side thing, like a supplemental. And I'm not 100% sure. It feels more in the digital space than in like the, I don't know, they call it hard lines. Lauren, do you have a YouTube? Are you still here? Share your YouTube on here. Maybe I just forced you to create a YouTube. Submittal. Oh, what did I say? Shit. See, this is how this happens. Supplemental. Maybe I didn't articulate that well. Sorry. There's this thing called SS Tick. It's an app. You can download your videos from TikTok and then post them other places. And it won't have the watermark on it. Just to let you know if you wanted to take some of those and cross post them. Supplemental, like in addition to, not as a main thing, but just like it's just a little extra to help out. It's not something that you're doing for your main source of income. I almost feel like this idea of wanting to run your own business is like good, feels good in theory for you, but I feel like it feels almost overwhelming. I don't know if I follow you here on here, Lauren. I'm going to have to find you. I can't do it now though. Because if I click off, I'm going to make a little reminder note. I think it's called here. Let me find it on my phone and I'll show you what it looks like. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Okay, it looks like, sorry, it's this one here with the arrow, and it's SS Tick. I think it's two S's, I think. Okay, yeah, I think it's my ADHD. I feel like it would get scattered. I mean, it just feels more like it's like something you want to do on the side to make a little extra money, but you're not like, it feels like it feels like I'm happier doing the two things rather than doing just one. or maybe you keep the one for insurance. For I don't fully know. I still think insurance and healthcare industry is going to be changing, and not because of RFK Jr., just because again, the power lies within each and every one of us as a collective with our money. And we can force changes and make changes happen. I think that a lot of people have been asleep for a really long time and feeling very apathetic about everything, kind of like just is what it is, and not, and like the boycotts are starting to make people realize, like, oh, wait, we do have power. And that's the thing. I think people in charge want you to think that you're powerless. There are going to be more people that are being raised up, like AOC. And I know a lot of people don't like her, but the reason why people like AOC get kind of, and Bernie get kind of like pushed out is like they're so crazy, is because they know that the things that these people are talking about would benefit the majority of people. And it takes away their power. It takes away their money lobbying and the people benefiting from money lobbying, etc. And of course, a lot of people who benefit from insider trading that are sit within our legislative walls don't like the idea of like AOC is presenting bills that are like, hey, you have to, if you want to have money in a stock market, then it needs to be in like either like a index fund or something where you have no power over it, or it's in a blind trust where again you're not doing the trading. So okay, that was Allie. I've got Katrina, you're up, or Regine. And I am actually like with the stuff that came out about like the ADHD people and people with autism and, people who are on SSRIs and like sending them to wellness caps. I've actually held off on giving the school district and my daughter's doctor the official ADHD diagnosis, because one, she seems to be doing better now. We pulled her out of the one class and she has a better teacher. And two, I'm very concerned about having anything official I'm already worried that I have something official for my one daughter. It is, I don't think they'll go that far. I don't think it'll be allowed that far. That's not my feeling, but it's very concerning how crazy people are. Hi. Thanks for being here, Goka Trinago. So Regina or Katrina, if you want to ask your question. This one sits a little crooked. Little crookedy. That's crookedier. I don't know. A general, sure. I got something. This is like not going to be your full rating, but this is just what I'm getting right now. Like initially, I'm getting a tooth issue here. This is my left side, left upper, and I'm actually feeling like a twinge here. Do you have like an old issue in a front tooth? Which is not a commonplace, but it just feels like there's an old issue there that needs to be addressed. Same thing here. They really want you to be working on breath work, because I felt like your third eye is really starting to open. And calling on your higher self would be really beneficial for you. They're like saying, like, think of it as ancestral, but like when I say to you ancestral, they're making me feel like that makes you think of your grandmother who would have been more religious, and they're thinking go back further. So they're also saying to call upon your higher self when you're doing your meditations. That's interesting. The next year of the dragon will be very lucrative or beneficial for you. So this feels like we just ended the year of the dragon. So the next, I think there's 13 Chinese signs. So I would say in 13 years, which, seems like so far away, but time passes by so quickly. They said, she's happy. It's happening. Despite what the world looks like on the outside, you're going to be doing well. It just feels like stay focused and keep pursuing, to be tenacious. It feels like maybe you've been doing a lot of like visualization around what you think is going to make you happy. And they're just reminding you that you don't need those things in order to make you happy. The things that you think will make you happy won't. It'll be temporary fulfillment, but not long term. I also saw, I saw an airplane. I feel like maybe there's a short trip you're taking, or because it feels like a smaller plane, and maybe a concern around the safety of it, and it's a reminder that you're going to be fine. And I feel like you would be flying around sunset time because maybe it's like sunrise, but it's like one of the times because I feel like the sky is very orange. Oh, thank you, KK, for posting the payment link. What's yes for both? Sorry. The tooth thing. Okay, sorry. Had to think about that. What did I tell you? You're welcome. Are you going on a plane trip? I think sometimes they give me these kind of things, right? Because you're like, well, what do I like? I already know that. Because if I don't know it and I'm giving you something where I'm like, they're telling me that you need to well, anybody could get a reading where it's like, you need to meditate, you need to ask for these people, you need to connect with these people. It's like, that just feels like anybody could say that. That's in anything. That's why the evidential stuff needs to kind of come in. No, right now. There's something about a flight. I'm leaning towards it being more in the like sunset hour. And honestly, it feels like a short trip. It feels like a small, like I feel like I'm flying on something that not a prop plane, but that it just feels smaller. Is Barbados close by? I don't think so. Is it? For you? Is it a short flight? Again, remember, I'm not the geography queen. It's not that far, I guess, right? It's close to Florida. So maybe that's it. Maybe you take a quick flight over there. The sky is like pinky orange. So that's why I feel like maybe maybe you're flying in at sunset. I mean, because it wouldn't be pinky orange in the morning, right? Sorry if am I applying lipstick or touching my hair bothers anybody. I can't stand dry lips. Okie doke. You're very welcome, Miss Regine, as always. Okay, I've got now I just have Katrina, you're up. Layoffs have been on my mind a lot lately. We just had one unexpectedly. Seems like there's going to be another one again fairly soon. So, Goka, these are not free readings. They're $12, and I take 30% of that, and I donate it to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. I'm going to pin KK's comment. Oh, wait. Does it have the PayPal.com or is that? I usually just do PayPal me. Let me check and make sure this link works. Oh, it does. Perfect. I should know. KK's on top of that. She's so good. So I just pinned KK's. Oh, that's Katrina? Oh, okay, sorry. That makes sense that it would be because it says "Go Katrina, go." And I was reading it as "Go, go, go Katrina, go." Sorry. So stupid. Sorry. Um, okay. All right. So sorry. So first I'm gonna tell you to do the thing that I told I I'm trying to think of his screen name on here. We're gonna call him M because I can think of his screen name on here. And he was kind of going through the same thing, but wanting a new job. I don't know if that's what you want. Um, Never mind. Let me answer your question and then I'll tell you that thing. How about that? Okay, layoffs have been on my mind again. Just have one unexpectedly take initiative, leave now, or wait for a bit longer and see. Oh, okay. This actually, I do want to tell you this. So, what I told him was because he was worried about it, I said, when you want to leave your job, and just instead of just thinking like, oh my God, it's going to happen, there's layoffs. Oh my God, I want to leave my job. Like, instead of thinking that way, right? And focusing is where your energy goes. Because I really do believe in manifestation. I really do believe that our thoughts create our reality. Um, and a lot of times we're creating unintentionally, right? But if you rather think like, I know that whenever I leave a job, it's such a smooth transition. It's always smooth. I'm so grateful. It's always a smooth transition. When you sort of set that belief system in place, it means then you're not going to have a layoff and then not find a job, right? Or it like the change, it always ends up in my favor and it benefits me. So maybe you get the layoff and you get the severance package, and then you happen to start this new job, like it picks up right away again. Um, I don't see you as being it's interesting. I don't see you as being like part of all of the layoffs. Um, it feels like even if they lay off, I just see you being like the way they're showing it to me. So I'm not saying this is literally how it is. It's just the way in order to get me to like say what it is. I feel like I'm looking at an office floor with a whole bunch of cubicles that I can see above. There's a whole bunch of empty ones, but I am like off in this like little section and I'm protected. So there's maybe 5 of us and we're good. We don't have to worry. Um, this doesn't make sense to me, obviously, because intuition never makes sense, but I feel like I heard the layouts are happening because of inefficiency, or they're telling you it's because of inefficiency, but I actually feel like there's somebody who's misappropriating funds or embezzling. I'm writing your thing down. Witchling Lu. Um, so that's sorry, I didn't mean to like feel like I was taking my attention away from you. Does that resonate when I say that to you? That it feels like they're telling you it's inefficiency and they're trying to make things more efficient, but I actually think there's something else going on with the money. Um, I also feel like whatever you do is they're saying niche. They're also saying it's like if someone was laid off in your group, it wouldn't be you. One, because of personality, and two, because of your history of doing well. I guess it's an easy way to say it. It's very corporate talk. It's all about cutting costs and for efficiency. Yeah. But I don't actually think that that's what's happening. I feel like there's been misappropriation of funds. I feel like that's what we're telling people. But the reality is someone's either been embezzling or misappropriating somewhere. And I think to avoid looking bad. I also think this is what's really interesting. I also feel like they think we can hire AI to do this work and it'll be easy. And they're going to find out that it's going to bite them in the ass. There's a lot of that's going to happen for people. Like it's just like the president's statements where it's like, oh, we're just going to do all this stuff. And they make all these big grand moves. And then they find out like, oh shit, like we just fired all the nuclear people who have like manage all of the stockpiles. Like they're going to figure out that it's a short-sighted solution. Because when you use AI, you don't get the creativity. You don't get like the ingenuity. You get a blueprint essentially. So it's going to bite them in the ass. It'll be interesting. It'll work for some areas and it doesn't work for others. It's just like, in United Healthcare uses an AI to like go through and basically reject people like based on one thing, and so like 30% of the attempted claims get rejected, and it's biting them in the ass at the end of it. And unfortunately, because it's tied to our jobs, it becomes a like no-win situation. But so that's the feeling I get. But I feel like your job is fine for some reason. I don't know why, but it is. I mean, I told you the personality part and that you're good at what you do, but like that's the feeling I get. Can you get added to the list? Yeah, sure. I should make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, Misty. I need to add you to the list. So I'll add Misty and Lauren. Misty, what's your question? We have the day off of school tomorrow for President's Day. Maybe I'll start looking up the good presidents. Show my kids the presidents that have done well for the population. and Reagan, who has done terribly for everybody, and why he is a blight on the United States history. I'm sorry, did I say that? I also think it's funny when they're like, we're going to find all the wasteful spending. I'm like, then don't spend 20 million on going to the Super Bowl and however many million he's going to go to some race car thing. I don't know enough about that stuff. So I'm like, I don't, some race car thing. And it's probably some Indy 500. I think that's what it is. Okay, Lauren, you're on the list. All right. Misty, what's your question? And then Lauren, if you want to just, if either one of you want to type that. Misty, are you still here? I need to get more politically smart, but everything has been stressing me out lately. So here's what I do. I listen to stuff, and if it makes me scared, I shut it off, and then I go, okay, what's the reality of this? And or I go, oh, let me find somebody who speaks in a more calming tone, who doesn't sound like they're just trying to get me to stand. Because even that guy that I recommended earlier, where I was like, this is the guy on YouTube that I like, he still does things that are kind of like a little bit, but he's got more, and it's not to be like, oh, I just want to speak the positive into the world. It's just like, it's not a fear mongering type thing. I also like the guy who does on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen him, and he goes, surprise. He always uses that surprise, surprise song. For some reason, even when it's bad stuff, I'm always like, oh, look at how they screwed up. I feel okay and calm about it. So, okay. I'm going to do Misty's really quick. I have been pursuing high-end art fairs and failing miserably. All of my friends who are professional artists can't believe it. What am I doing wrong? Nothing. Some of it they're telling me is that you're what? I feel like you're not energetically in line with the people who run those things. Um, and the sense that I'm getting is like when it's like they may be labeled as prestigious. Again, it's like feels like it's all smoke and mirrors. And it feels like energetically not in alignment with them. And so when you're not, it's hard to get pushed there. Um, and some of it, and please forgive me for saying this, is a little bit of self sabotage. Um, of like not believing in yourself enough and also feeling like it always happens for others but not for me. But I'm giving you this example because it's the feeling I get where when I first started out I really wanted to like I interviewed for different things that had like clout. And there was one woman who was like, come work with me at this fair. And when I said I just couldn't because I had already had plans, like I couldn't drop all my plans and just realign with her. She just was so like done with me then. Like I passed up the one opportunity she was going to give me. She didn't want anything else to do with me, kind of thing. And I was like, I had like this family thing that I already had planned. Like I couldn't, in hindsight, I probably should have, but it's okay. It just means like you're not in alignment with them. So it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just energetically not aligned with them. And what I have learned, and this is what I feel like it is like you'll be grateful that you didn't end up doing that. Um, I still feel like it doesn't mean I feel like you should just go to the high school craft show and sell your stuff. That's not the feeling I get. But it feels like there needs to be more of an alignment of you owning that your stuff is worth what you're wanting to sell it for. So it's this idea that like maybe you think because it didn't take you as long as like maybe you're like, well, this only took me 3 days to paint or create. So who am I to ask for $10,000 for it? That's just absurd. And they're like, and that's why you're not running into that's why it doesn't feel like you're getting into those places. They're sort of saying like, you decide your worth and you need to bring that energy up. I don't know if that resonates at all. I'm saying it. So it does become along with the lines of like, do the inner work. I wrote down, I was listening to this, I stumbled across a woman. She grew like very quickly, apparently. So then finally her stuff got pushed to me. Let me find the affirmation that I wrote down as I squint at it because I don't have any reading glasses here. Hang on, bear with me. So she was like, I was just really just writing down the things she was saying. I was like, oh, that's an affirmation. That's an affirmation. And she was like, I get every single thing I want. And there's a lot of people who don't believe that they're deserving of getting every single thing that they want. And she said, I am constantly bending reality. I am constantly defying the odds. I am the exception to every single rule. It all works out for me. I don't have any limits on what I believe is possible, and I'm insistent on that. I easily bypass the limited 3D. The unseen, what is happening inside of me is more important and more real than anything happening in the 3D. I don't wait for the world to prove anything. My belief forces this world to adjust. My identity forces circumstances to mold me. Whenever your logic says something is not possible, that is a limited belief. I easily hold the vision, even if the 3D shows me otherwise. And those are all like affirmations you can start saying. I'm never seeking permission because reality adjusts to me. The circumstances mold to me. I am sought after for my insights. People love my content, things like that. Or like I am sought after. I'm like, people love everything that I have. So it's like, start working on that. And then the stuff starts to happen. And where you're like, what I've learned to go like really acknowledge is the small things where it's like, wanting people to like really draw to me. It's like, instead of going, oh, well, I don't have that yet. It's like, oh, I've got it right now. I've got people who are coming here every Sunday to see me and listen to me. I've got people who are showing up and willing to pay for my content and willing to pay to get a reading. I've got people who support me. So like starting to own that. The other thing she was saying is like for, a couple months before she actually had this big pop off, she just imagines herself being in that life and what it would be like, calling a friend and talking to him about what's going on. Those are all things I've done. And I think that they work really well. But a lot of it is just going, of course, like I'm worthy and deserving of those things. Hi, Gabrielle. It's not resonating with the crowd. So like maybe it's just that you again, it's not energetically where it needs to be. So change the affirmations to I always create I always create art that people love and are incredibly drawn to. It's magnetic. They can't get their eyes off of it. They have to have it. Whereas I feel like you're probably creating from a place of like, oh my God, are they going to like it? Is it going to be okay? I hope people like it. And I worked from a place of that of like, I hope people like my readings. I hope they appreciate them. And now, before I do every reading, before I do any email readings or whatever, I'm like, oh, they totally connect with this. This is like they are completely validated by, and I am completely validated. Like they connect complete with this. They're accurate readings. Like I am always reinforcing that. And I know that sounds really woo woo, but that's the feeling I get is like more about alignment not being there. So it's not that your stuff isn't good enough. Um, it's the energy behind it. I've been at art fairs and my energy was bad because I expected to not go well. So I ended up selling nothing. Then ones where I went in with more confidence and enthusiasm, it sold a lot more. And here's the thing around that too. So thank you for chiming in because I'm not an artist. So, and Lauren is. Um, when you carry that energy, even if people don't think that they can read, like they think, oh, I'm not psychic or whatever, you're drawn certain places because of vibrancy, right? Um, and so when you're just like the whole time you're there, just be like, my shit's really awesome. I'm such an amazing artist. People love it. It's gonna feel nutty. Like even the last psychic development course I had, like every single one of them beforehand, I was like, I hope people will join. You can ask KK because I'd be like, KK, is this going to happen? Like, am I going to sell it out? And she'd be like, I only see you having this many. I just decided, I was like, it's sold out. It's done. It's sold out. And even when the doubt creeped in, I was like, no, it's sold out. It doesn't mean that doubt doesn't come in. It's just like you have to be like with a toddler, but like, no, this is the rule. This is how it's going. Your shit is awesome. And the hurdle is not getting in. Now you need to be like, people are so drawn to my work. And sometimes it takes like a little bit of an ego hit of like, it's funny the way things will show up sometimes where you're like, oh, I'm not going to get in. Well, it's like, well, you got in, but like, because of that energy behind of like, oh, this is going to be so difficult, that kind of lingered and pushed out there to remind you that everything shows up in that way. And it's going to, and when I'm reading an energy of where it's at and where it projects out. Right. So I don't want to be like, I'm not that magical, but I just feel like I want to say that like our circumstances are not set in stone. When I'm reading something, even if I read it 10 years out, sometimes I do read that far out. Um, Maybe just energetically you haven't changed the path because it wasn't alarming enough, right? Or it wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Or I read for somebody that just doesn't understand their own power. I don't know. Hi, Lara. So I just feel like that's why you were drawn to come here and like get a reading from me because I really do believe that we are powerful. I talk a lot about self-concept work and I talk a lot about affirmations because I've seen it work and change things in my life. And so while I still do readings and while I still fully believe that I can do these readings and I fully believe in being empowered and like I know that my business is going to grow. I know that like things are going to happen. I just am like, when's it going to happen? And I probably should shift that like it's happening now or whatever. But there's a part of me that's a little afraid of being successful. Not that I'm not successful, but you know, like big success, big eyes. Thank you, Julia. And so sometimes I think, well, would this still exist in this format if I grow more, if I had more eyes on me every week? Would we be able to have this nice little tight knit community? And so like I worry about losing that. So that's where I have to fight some of my beliefs around stuff. I need to charge a membership. That's what so what I wanna do with the other memberships, I can't because I can't do a membership fee on here because I don't have the watch hours. Um, I have to do it on another platform, which I'm going to, and I still wanna do readings like this, or I still wanna offer some sort of like, we'll figure it out, right? So, I mean, it's when I'm saying that stuff to you, it's like there's sometimes our barriers is not so much about it's not about failing, it's more about, like, when we succeed, what really happens when we get, like right? Because you always hear, like, if you're famous, that's really bad and it's negative and you don't want all this eyes on you, and also, like, just instinctively, to have a lot of eyes on you can feel, like, at a core level, dangerous. The doable cost, so I have the tiers all set up, kind of in, like, how what I wanna include in the tiers, so it's, like, $5, $12, and $25 a month. And I'm thinking I might offer if you pay up for a year, then you get like 2 months free. So, I would love 500 members. I would love that. Um, and I'm just ordered like, I'm gonna do card pulls, I'm gonna do stuff that I don't normally do here because I wanna make it fun and not just, you know, me yammering the whole time. Who needs that? So, um, yeah. Okay, so I got Misty's and I got now I need Lauren's question. So wait, Misty, does that answer satisfy your question or do you feel like I don't want you to feel gypped on it because I was like, well, this is like the things that I keep getting drawn to. I like that. I want to bring all the TikTok, Instagram and so I don't have many people on Instagram and I haven't been on there much, but I think maybe I'll go on there and try and push stuff just for the Patreon. Because I feel like I also just don't want to give energy towards Marky Zuckerberg. You're welcome, Misty. Okay. As someone who likes to go to museums, I get surprised on the things I love. There's always an audience for you, Misty. Oh, I love that. That's such encouragement. Um, Follow corporate in some ways, Klarna, etc. Splitting fees into smaller regular payments attracts more people. Well, that's why it'll be offered where you can pay $5 a month. I mean, that's like nothing, right? Um, and then I have to do whatever their payment system is. And then so $5 a month, $12 a month, or $25 a month. And then if you wanted to pay it in a one-time fee, so like $5 a month is $60 for the year, or you'd get 2 months free if you paid it all up. So it's $50 for the entire year if you just want to be on the lowest level tier. Um, so I think those are options. They're all really reasonable. Um, so yeah. So I have to use whatever they have set up, however that works. Can I read into what's next for you on your career path? I want some more stability. How did your flower interview thing go? You know what's interesting is I feel like you might work there and then why do you think you didn't get it? Stop that. Manifest it. Um I feel like you would do something like that full time, but then I also feel like I see you doing like oh, that's interesting. Have you ever thought about painting business windows or murals? It was so fast on an interview and I don't have much experience, so it's rough. Yeah, but I'm going to say this, it's not a job where they're going to take forever to interview you. So, I'm going to say that. It's not a job where they're going to take forever to interview you. It's more of a like personality thing. And do they seem like they're somebody who's willing to work? They might. So they might actually, that might be where you get. So my feeling was like, you do something there and then people see you there and want to hire you out to do other things. So I feel like, again, it's like you're going to be doing more than one thing where the mural thing creates an extra income set of income for you. I feel like that might be something where you end up creating your own business and moving into that full time, and making good money from it. Is it now? Is this what you went to art school for and like the dream of what it like? No, but it's a very practical way to use your creativity and make some money from it. And I feel like you actually might even end up like painting murals on walls in like little kids' bedrooms and things like that too for some money. Um, and I keep seeing like a mural like on a wall of a business too. So it just feels like you might get your start where you're like, hey, do you want me to like paint that window for you for the holiday or whatever? Would you? And they're like, yeah. Like if you drew up a thing and said like, it feels like it'll come up very organically of like, oh, this is my art. And they're like, hey, would you be willing to, would you want to do something like that? So I actually feel that that'll start within the next year. It'll maybe sooner and starts to build, but like, I feel like making some good money within the next year to year and a half from that. I know that everybody's like, oh, the economy and nobody has money, but I feel like people still have money. There's billionaires out there. There's people who do have money to spend. And you'll find the right rates and things for doing stuff, how long it takes you, um, equipment and supplies, things that you have to buy and like learning. It feels like it's going to be pretty quick to figure out like how to clean and everything else. Cause there's enough people out there who are doing it already, who are making videos on it to create content to make money, which you could do as well. You could like parlay it into this other thing of like, look at what I do. Another way to advertise, just make some B-roll of you painting, talking and cleaning the windows. And it helps your business. I oftentimes think, and this is my limited thinking of like, because I don't read tarot, because I don't have all of those kitschy things, because I refuse to like fear monger and scare people, that like I don't have enough content for people that draw people in. Like I'm more of a talker and like, I don't have that. So that's my own limited thinking. I do think you should continue with tarot stuff because I think it feeds your soul in a way. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you do, but I just feel like a lot of times, again, it's my limited belief, right? So that's something I have to work on. There's all kinds of like, I really get annoyed when people are like, I do all these amazing things because I'm like, smoke and mirrors, because I'm like, it's not always easy. And so I like to not commiserate with you, but it's like, I get that it's work, shifting your mindset. And we all have our own shortcomings and places to grow. And so when you can be more real about it and be like, yeah, this is where mine is at. This is where I struggle. Um, and like, I think it's helpful to be as real and authentic as possible with people. Does anybody have any more questions, or you guys want to do like any kind of general stuff? We've been on for almost 2 hours. Oof. It's really just me chatting a lot. I mean, I did talk a lot about. You're so welcome, Lauren. I enjoy like each and every one of you. I really genuinely do. I always feel like, oh my God, I should have more of a boundary, like as a business owner and a reader, like I should have more of a boundary, but I just want to like cheer for all of you all the time. And like, I'm so excited about everything that's going on in your lives. You had 2 snowstorms this week. Any major weather events coming in the next few weeks? I already like, this is not, I know we're getting one at the end of this week. I'm trying to think about up in Canada because I feel like it will affect y'all, but I feel like I don't know. I already know because that's already in the weather. In 3 weeks, I feel like you're going to actually have another big storm. This is just going to be a heavy snow winter. I'm kind of excited for it. I want to go. I like sledding with my kids, so I know. I actually feel like you're gonna get another 20 inches within the next 3 weeks, and I don't know if it's, like, one big storm or Thank you, Lara. Yeah, it's just gonna be a snowy winter. I mean, even in Houston, they already got like, they got down in the South, my mom, like, I think she said there was, like, a good, like, 2 inches of snow. I mean, it melted that day, but a lot of snow in Buffalo. Yeah, and plus y'all get lake effect snow there too, don't you? When I lived in Milwaukee, I lived in a suburb of Milwaukee, we got, by the way, if you're from Milwaukee, it's Milwaukee, there's no L. But when I lived there was, always a lot of lake effect snow. Snow in March for the UK, yeah. I just think there's gonna be late snow, it's gonna be weird, it's like a weird I welcome it because I feel like we're supposed to have 4 seasons in snow, especially up here. You're gonna call out, "My car sucks in the snow." I drove a in college, where I lived in Eau Claire, which is, like, just 90 miles, east of St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota, so we got a lot of snow. I drove an '86 Honda Accord, and that was, like I was, like, 14 or 15 years old at the time, and, like, she always started up. 20 below windshield, didn't matter. 30, 40 below windshield, didn't matter. She started up like a champ. Um, and I think because it was 5 speed, it was manual, I was easier to drive in the snow than, like, some of the automatics are. I don't know. Oh, and I don't think we're getting 20 inches. KK's up in Toronto, so they get more snow. Um, this week, I think we might get like 6. You'll be fine. You don't need to call for 6 inches of snow. The last year I was in Eau Claire, was 2000, the winter of 2000, because I graduated in May of 2001. We had so much snow. We had no thaw from, like, the first snow was at the beginning of October, and the last snow was at the end of March. So it was a full 6 months. There was no thaw. We had so much snow. I'd never seen so much snow. We had huge snowbanks. Like, the snowbanks were, like, probably 8 feet tall. Um, like, my apartment complex, like, had a snow wall around it, and you had to, like, pull into the intersections in order to be able to see. Like, you couldn't just, like, sit in the drive. Like, it was a lot. Um, and so I moved to Texas after that because I was like, "I'm done. No more snow for me. I'm good for a while." And I like where I'm at in New Jersey because it's moderate. Like, the weather is never super extreme. Even if we have I've been here a few times where we've gotten over, like, 20 inches of snow, 22 inches of snow, but it still is not, like, that's not the norm. And there's never gonna, there's always a thaw, so it's not like you can ask another question, that's fine. I was looking at recently uploaded videos. I didn't realize this was a live. It's live! That's fine, you're welcome. You're welcome to, join us. I'm live every Sunday. It's kind of the only thing I post here is live readings because I'm such a, lackadaisical content creator. I need to get better about it because I need to just, like, bite the bullet and kind of, trust the process. You know, I talk myself out of stuff just like everybody does, where I'm like, because I don't do all the big hooks and all of that stuff to draw people in that either, like, creates fear or, like, some kind of, like, draw, because I feel like that's not good to do to people's nervous systems. Um, I'm low view kind of girl. I know. I know it sounds easy peasy. Okay, so this is what's gonna be better about YouTube because they just recently changed I was always reticent to film in horizontal. Um, I really should be wearing a microphone of some sort because it would help this, but because I just want to like film in the app and like upload or whatever, or film on my phone and vertical. Like, but now they have it changed so that it looks better on the phone for vertical. So I might. I know. I know. I'm feeling like I should. So I'll do something. Quit being such a like a what I don't know what a good word for it is. I need to walk the walk and not just talk it or whatever it is because I tell everybody, "You just do it." And I'm like, "Mm." I also then go like, "Oh, I should like I don't wanna like" when everybody's like, "Oh, you should change clothes so you're, like, looking like you're wearing different things and, like, batch record." I'm like, "I'm too lazy to do that. I'd rather batch record. I'm wearing, like, the same thing for the next, like, 15 videos." You might get annoyed. You'll be my accountability partners? Okay. Basically, my question is, should I pursue Brad, text him, and ask him out? You're embarrassing? Stop it. You're so cute. Would you please stop? Um, I feel like yes. I feel like he is also kind of oblivious or doesn't know if it's weird because I think this is the guy who knows somebody, like is a friend of a friend or something like that. I do mediumship. Um, so I feel like it's okay to make the first move or say like we want to hang out sometime. So yes, the answer is yes. Are you embarrassing or are you embarrassed? Because I don't think you're an embarrassing person. And I don't think you should be embarrassed by liking someone or being attracted to them. Um, I also feel like he doesn't want to cross a boundary because he's doing work at your house, right? Do I have any courses coming up? My goal is I want to start this Patreon community. In it, there'll be like learning, kind of like little basic learning stuff. I'm gonna do like teaching about self concept, affirmations, like manifesting, and also do some intuitive work. And then the next thing I'm gonna launch after that is the psychic development, which will be like you'll have an asynchronous that you do stuff on your own. There's 6 modules for that. I have like outlines for everything. I just have to like sit down and do it. I get more I get worried about the videos. This is totally weird, but I get worried like the quality's not good enough or if people don't like it. Like I get in my head a little bit. This is like my blockage. When I'm sure it will be totally fine. I just over catastrophize. Maybe that's the question, the response. But I feel like so I wanna do that, and then I wanna have with that where we meet every 2 weeks and do, like, in person on Zoom exercises, so you get the actual practical application with immediate feedback and not just an online course. But I just wanted to have, like, the 2 with it. So it's like so the old style of the psychic development programs I would do where we just meet and I basically coach you through it or whatever, so this is just like a little bit of a more you have, like, this stuff to do on your own and then stuff together. So it's a hybrid of what I normally do. He's your contractor also, yeah. So I think the reason why he didn't is just feeling wanting to feel professional and not inappropriate or creepy. So my sense is like, "Hey, is it" you could even just be like, "Is it crossing the line? Would you wanna go get a drink sometime or you wanna hang out sometime?" Um, I don't know. Listen, the worst thing he's gonna say is no, and then you're where you're at. I don't think he'll say no. That's not the feeling I get. But the point being is like, The worst that anybody's going to give you is no. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, or it just means you're not in alignment. And that's okay. No is not the worst thing you'll ever hear. You are absolutely gorgeous and you have such a wonderful personality. Please just go for it. You feel like the worse quality the video is, the more views they get recently. So many people filming in their car and stuff. I film in my car, but I film my car because I feel like no one's going to interrupt me at my house if I'm filming in my car. And the thing that like hinders me from YouTube is mostly because there's so many really amazing quality videos. I feel like people have their studios and like crazy lighting. And they're like, all you have to do is this. I'm like, that is exhausting. Like I have like, and I also feel like the people who do really well, it's like, one, if they have kids, I'm like, where are you? What are you doing with your children? Like, how are you even finding time to do this? And two, or they just don't have kids. And so like, this is it. Like, this is all they have to focus on. Right, but I feel like he might feel like it's creepy if he was the one who was asking you out. I think that's okay for him to feel that way. Like you shouldn't. It is crossing a boundary when you have a business. Like he doesn't want to build a business and be known for the guy who asks his clients out. That's highly unprofessional. So I feel like he's very interested in you, but also doesn't want to be creepy. Just do it. My aunt married her contractor. I don't know exactly how it turned out. Like, I mean, I know how it turned out. They're still married, whatever. But I don't know, like, I was in high school when she met him. So I don't know if he asked her out or what, but he was her contractor. Big age gap. So I don't know if she asked him out or if he asked her out. I don't know how that worked out. I mean, I know how it worked out, but I mean, I don't know how it happened. They're married. They've been married for years. I guess like 30 years now. Because I think they married when I was like 15 or 16. And so, and she was wife number 6. Carvito feels cozy. Yeah, I know. He was an NFL player. I don't know what team. It was years ago, obviously. But yeah. But so 5 wives before her. So like, listen, don't give up on things. All right. Anybody else? Any questions, comments, concerns? Do you want me to look at anything else, or you have any questions about, I don't know, whatever? Otherwise, I might go. We don't have school tomorrow. So I'm going to build a shelf for here so I can put some books there. Or maybe I'll put it here. I don't know. I have to think about safety. Like there's a bed right here. And when my mom is here, my kids sleep down here with her. And they have to like walk on the side here. So I might have to put it here. I don't know. But I just have all these books. I have so many cards. I ordered a new deck I'm excited about. It's an oracle deck, like a predictions oracle deck. So I'm waiting for it to be shipped, or I'm not really sure because it's like an independent person. So, Lara said, I chatted to a guy for 4 months, felt we had a spiritual connection, and then he did a 180, just stopped things. I'm guessing is what the THI is supposed to be. It's actually really funny because I've been so upset. Like I thought I'd move into this house with a partner and redo it with a partner. And Spirit was like, here's your manifestation. What do you mean? I don't feel like the government will shut down in March. I think it'll come close. I keep getting, again, it's like, I get like a day or two. Like it's nothing huge. I know people panic about that always, but I'm always like, that is just a pissing contest. All of that shit's a pissing contest there. Who's got a bigger wiener? Like, that's how I feel like it all works there. Um, and I want to say this, if it does, don't feel like, oh my God. I just feel like um, it's because the Dems hold out for something. They're twisting the ear, so to speak. Oh, like he just quit talking to you. He didn't understand. You don't understand. I mean, that's a reading if you want me to look into it. But I mean, there's like several things I'm getting around that. Do manifesting and self concept work and start looking at if your beliefs create your reality, right? So, Neville Goddard is a great person, and Florence Scovel Shinn. Um, there's like a little Bible-y stuff, but just instead of saying the Lord, change it to the law, and then it makes a lot more sense. Um, but the point being is, if you start looking at if my beliefs create my reality, so meaning not my reflection of like who I am as a person shows up, right? But my beliefs around who I am. Like if I'm the main character and I've written this main character and I say like, nothing ever works out. If I'm just like creating a main character on the side here, right? This is the main character for this rom-com and nothing ever works out for her and everything's kind of bumbly and like she'll meet someone and think it's a really great connection and then all of a sudden things go wrong and it never seems to work out and the guy never seems to stick around. Then the universe goes, oh, that's what you believe about love and relationships, that like it never works out. They never seem to stick around. They never see your value worth, or they see it at first and then they get bored, like whatever it is around that. Then the universe goes, here's the movie, the production, and I'm going to make sure that the right people get cast in those parts to reflect that main character energy to you. Neville Goddard, I don't know who Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is dead, so whoever has done that is doing them. I prefer listening to, like, you can listen to his old lectures on, I think on Spotify. There's some, um, and read. He's got lots of books out, but you can listen to his old lectures. I prefer to listen to the lectures rather than whatever those AI things are. But Neville Goddard has died in like 1972, I think. Oh, it's a computer redoing it. Um, I prefer hearing his own voice rather than computer stuff. I don't know. That's just me. Um, and that might be my own like little, quirk. And Lauren said, so that's what I would say is like looking at Lara, look at your own stuff. Because it becomes like, and not with judgment, like, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person. It's like, just with curiosity, like, well, if that's the truth, like you don't even have to buy all into it. Well, she's like, oh, this must be. It's like, well, if that's the case, let's see what beliefs would cause this situation to show up. Personally, I feel I was just a mirror to him. What I'm gonna say is, if you just try it, just try and look at it like this, and if you feel that, then it's like maybe right. So if we'll go with your theory, if you're a mirror to him, but I can tell you what I was getting without giving you a reading. But if your theory is correct, what do you think you were mirroring back to him? And why would whatever you were mirroring back to him make him cut off all complete ties? Because it's not, I will just say from like my own discovery and really approaching at things that way of like, if my beliefs create my reality, then honestly, things start to make more sense. And it doesn't mean, oh, I'm a bad person. It just means that, have you ever looked back at a picture and like the night that you went out, you thought, oh my God, I look fat. I look so disgusting. I like, this is like whatever. And then you look back at that picture like 5 years later and like, why was I so hard on myself? That was so ridiculous. I look so good. Same circumstance, two different opinions about it. Our thoughts aren't real, right? So if two things can be true at the same time, which one are you going to choose? you can believe that relationships don't work out, but then that's how it's going to show up in your life all the time. You can believe that you're not worthy and deserving of amazingness, and you only like every breadcrumb would just be enough because I just can't be like, you know, then that's what shows up is the breadcrumber. You can believe that like nobody ever really fully sees your value. And initially, they're going to reflect all the good stuff. And then it all falls into that old pattern of you're not being enough. We're very hard on ourselves. So that's why it's like, just challenge you to look at that stuff. Because what happens is when you have a really good self concept and you start like being like, it doesn't mean those people don't show up anymore, but it means the magnetism doesn't happen there because there is no like A, you're not in alignment with that person anymore. And B, they're not in alignment with your energy anymore. It's like, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't connect. Hang on. Somebody asked about, you asked about Sweden, but then Julia, you asked something about, am I getting anything for the UK? I just feel like we're in flux. So I don't feel, I want to say this, as much as people catastrophize on the news, remember to look at it with discerning eye of what are they gaining from catastrophizing? Are they gaining views? Are they gaining power? Why would they try to, I don't want to say manipulate you, but like, what are they gaining from that? I really don't see any massive world war or massive faltering because again, I talked about this at the beginning, so it might be Camel, it might be good for you to watch back and watch the very beginning of this. Like the first, I think 20 or 30 minutes of this where I'm like talking a lot about this. I mean, the whole world is full of oligarchy. I mean, the whole world is run by rich people who stand to gain a lot, like more power, more money. It's greed, right? I don't foresee any like actual war, right? I see some political posturing and like doing things through. I'm going to say it like there's other ways to say fuck you without putting boots on the ground. Right? I don't like to call them elites. And I only say that because I feel like that has been co-opted by a lot of conspiracy theory stuff. And so they're oligarchs. They are very rich boys with men with little boy mentality, very short-sighted for the viewpoint for the easy win in the beginning, but not seeing the long-term disaster they're creating. They can't look outside of themselves. Again, it's like I have more money than you. My dad is bigger than your dad. My dad can beat up your dad. It's like that kind of mentality happening. So I don't feel like massive collapse. Like when I keep hearing, oh, there's going to be a massive financial collapse. I'm like, no, I don't get that. I just don't. And even when people are comparing like, oh, this is like Germany, it's like, no, it's not like Germany because A, we're the United States. We are a larger swath of land than that. We have a much larger population. News doesn't spread by leaflets and newspapers anymore. It's very rapid, very quick. You don't even have a day before you find out, it's within an hour or 20 minutes that you're like, they said this, they did this, and there it was like, back then it was a lot longer, so they could get away with more in a shorter, like in that period of time, because people weren't going to find it out right away. it's not as easy as they want it to be. Does it mean that they're not going to create chaos and try? No, of course they're trying. That's their goal. But again, short-sighted mentality for tiny penis man. Like the ultra right conservative Christian people are all like, I'm a little woman. I got to control all the women. Women can't have a say. Like all of that shit is about control and genuine inferiority complex, uh, insecurity. Because if they really believed in their God being the most powerful God, there wouldn't be any of that. You just can't tell me that. Like it's just insecurity about who they are at the core. So I've got to control everybody else. So nobody will see who I really am. That's all that is. My daughters want to travel, and I was terrified due to listening to all the chaos. It was ridiculous. They need to grow, and I know we can't stop living due to it. Well, that's the other thing is you can't. Keep moving, keep doing things, keep finding joy. Why can't you travel? You can travel within Europe. I mean, really, they could travel to United States. I feel like, unfortunately, they're the right this. Not saying unfortunately, but like this, right? Because what's going on with all of that has more to do with racism than anything. And I wasn't trying to shun you, Lara, when I'm like the elites. There's words and verbiage I tend not to use because it's not that I know there's some truth to conspiracy theories, right? But like, I also think going into some kind of psychosis, spiritual psychosis and off the deep end doesn't help anybody. I think my Aries rising and Capricorn midheaven, like I have a lot of water and I have a lot of earth, like helps kind of ground into reality a little bit. And this idea of like, everybody's like elevating. I'm like, no, maybe the Great Awakening is spiritual, but maybe it's also just like this, like, hey, like we're all interconnected and we matter. I'm like, we need to start being more respectful and kind, and stop with the elevation of like, oh my God, they're so amazing because they're billionaires. Like they're money hoarders who have mental issues. Like if they were hoarding things and stuff in their house and it was piling over and you couldn't walk around, people would say they're mentally ill. Like, why are we not addressing this? And we're not doing that because it's money, right? Yeah. So I think my Aries rising sort of like really rounds me in. Oh, I don't even know what that means, but I know you might have a hard time making decisions. I don't know enough about like astrology. I believe it's a good, like, I think there is something to it, but I also think when you're looking at astrology and people are like, oh, like, it's like you can fearmonger it or not. I think with anything you can. And I think a lot of people tend to catastrophize because it brings views in. And then when people say things like we're in unprecedented times, well, we've always been in unprecedented times. Because that's what happens with growth. There's change. There's consistency. We are always going to experience change. The other thing is I didn't know this. I just heard it recently that like the Watergate thing from the very beginning of it to Nixon resigning was 2 years. It was not overnight. So the minute we're like, oh my God, it's not happening right away. That's a symptom of our needing to have things right away now, where we've been programmed to believe that like everything should happen like this. One of my best friends, her husband's an attorney. I keep meaning to ask her, what does he think? But she doesn't seem to be like, she listens to me and she's like, wait, who am I boycotting now? And I'm like, all right, here's where it's at. She's like, wait, is Target bad? I'm like, kind of. This is where it's at right now. But we talk about stuff like that. But she also, hasn't said like he's really panicked or anything else. He's still going about doing his job. So, and my cousin, who's an attorney, I was talking to her and I thought this was interesting. I don't know if I told y'all this. So I was talking to her and we were talking about the Supreme Court. And she said, look, even though, because I was like, yeah, but we got, Thomas up there and Alito. And she's like, Thomas can be bought for sure. She said, but the thing is he's not going to give up his power because then he doesn't keep getting the gifts and the money and stuff. So I feel like she, and her sense was like, they'll still keep it in check because they like their power too. And what keeps him in power is being a Supreme Court justice. And if they give it all over to Mr. Trumpy Pants and that and make it a dictatorship, they no longer have power. So keep that in mind too. It's all a power and money game, all of it. So it may seem scary, but I was like, oh, that's a really good point. Like it really is all about power. And so all those Supreme Court justices stand to lose power if they just give everything over. And they won't do that because then they lose all of the trips and favors they get. So I thought that was an interesting perspective. And I um, she is, and if this helps her background, she has a PhD in biochemistry. She was a patent agent, and she's also a patent attorney. She doesn't practice anymore. But so she knows, she's knows how to read all the labs and the levels. So when she's like, well, I wouldn't worry about that. I'm like, okay, find your grounded people to go to as a source. If anybody seems like they're all ramping up the scariness and I'm really panicked too, or if they're also super, there's the 4 a.m. club stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen this where it's we all woke up at 4 a.m. I'm like, and even when people talk about ascension symptoms, I used to too. And then I started looking, I'm like, also ear ringing can be a sign of insulin resistance, which is really, really common. And so you should look into that too. I believe that we all have these intuitive abilities, but I also realize that it comes through in different ways and always look for the logic too in it rather than just there's some people where it's always a sign. It's always a sign. It's you can create more and more signs by constantly looking for signs and what's the meaning in it. You will what is it called? An egregore. You will create that kind of thing. So if something is a sign, then you just sit back calm and be like, all right, if that's a sign and I'm supposed to know what it means, I'm going to trust the universe is just going to bring that on and I won't have to sit around guessing and freaking out about it. All right. So I'm going to say goodnight now. It's 2.5 hours. I hope that y'all have a fabulous week. Try and maintain your sanity in the chaos. And remember, when you hear something that's scary, who stands to gain from this? Is this even reality? It's not possible. Just because he's signing a piece of paper and making something, this is the way it is. No more paper straws. Are you fucking kidding me? Come on. He can't just make laws by signing a paper. It's not how it works. Extra long indeed. Okay, so y'all have a fabulous week. Thank you for staying and listening. Bye.